Two best friends, one shocking pact. Pregnant by an A-list actor and a ruthless tycoon, they ran to raise their children in secret. But when a viral photo exposes them years later, their powerful exes hunt them down, ready to reclaim what's theirs. Please listen to the story. My best friend Nora and I, through some twist of fate, ended up pregnant at the exact same time. She was carrying the child of the A-list actor, Julian Xiao, her playboy ex-boyfriend. As for me, I'd accidentally gotten pregnant by an incredibly wealthy Hong Kong oil tycoon, Ethan Shen. We considered the fact that those two men would almost certainly have no intention of acknowledging their children. My best friend, Nora, proposed a shocking plan. Why don't we ditch the fathers and keep the babies? Without a second thought, I slammed my hand on the table and agreed. Let's do it. Wherever you go, I'll follow. Just like that, the two of us, hand in hand, belly to belly, packed our suitcases and fled the country. We started our new, happy, and rosy lives as single mothers. Everything was going smoothly until 2 years later, when my best friend's son, Bo, suddenly hit the search trending topics. He looked exactly like the A-list actor Julian Xiao. The paparazzi didn't just get a clear shot of his face, they also conveniently panned the camera over to me and my own child, Poppy. That very night, the bar I owned was suddenly surrounded by a group of men in black suits. I had just pulled out my phone to call the police when my wrist was seized. My arms were pinned tightly behind my back, bound by a leather belt. A man leaned close to my ear, his voice dangerously hoarse. Go ahead and call. Let's see how many times you can scream before the police arrive. The thing is, I was heartbroken, so my best friend, Nora Yu, dragged me to a bar to let loose. Her hand was just about to touch the firm abs of a male model when a familiar figure suddenly appeared at the bar's entrance. The A-list actor, Julian Xiao, wearing a baseball cap, stormed over with a grim expression. He pointed at the young man who bore a slight resemblance to him. Who is he? Nora, are you using him as my substitute? Nora looked up at him, a cold smile lifting the corner of her lips. She stood up, every word sharp, piercing the heart of the man opposite her. What about it? You can use me as Sylvia Sue's substitute. So why can't I find someone to replace you? Besides, even the Xiao family heirloom is already on someone else's hand. Julian was at a loss for words. His voice was hoarse as he tried to explain. I already told you, I wasn't the one who gave her that bracelet. Nora laughed coldly. Fine, then go get it back. Silence enveloped them, making the noise of the bar even more grating. Julian Xiao stood stunned for a long time, finally letting out a sigh. He said softly, I'm sorry, I can't. Nora had already expected this outcome, but the moment she heard the answer, her expression still faltered. Her eyes turned red, she grabbed her handbag, signaled to me that she'd contact me later, and then strode out of the bar in her high heels. Julian nodded slightly at me and then chased after her. Remembering all the previous times Julian just needed to say a few words to easily coax Nora back, I grew anxious. I yelled as loud as I could, Nora, don't go soft, this is a matter of principle. Break up. You must break up with him this time. I shouted until my throat was dry. Suddenly, a slender hand with clearly defined knuckles reached out in front of me, offering a slice of watermelon. I looked at the hand, my heart fluttering slightly, thinking to myself, this male model is really considerate. I smiled and turned my head, and as I asked, hey kid, what's your name? My voice trailed off. When I saw the familiar face, I froze completely. Somehow, the model from the booth had been chased away, leaving only Ethan Shen standing behind me. His features were cold, his jawline sharp, and his eyes looked at me as if they were filled with ice. I stumbled back a step, but my wrist was already caught in his tight grip. Ethan Shen narrowed his eyes slightly, a faint, unsettling smile playing on his lips. You like young guys? Fine, come home. I have a younger brother too, I'll let you look your fill. That night, I was pressed against the floor, tip-ceiling windows by Ethan Shen. He tormented me until the break of dawn. Outside was the magnificent Victoria Harbor, a place where land is absurdly expensive. If it weren't for Ethan Shen, I wouldn't even be qualified to set foot here. But of course, I could never be his official girlfriend. At most, I was just a canary he kept in a gilded cage. In my first year in the entertainment industry, I encountered a director who wanted to exploit me using the casting couch. Even though I politely refused him time and time again, he wouldn't back off. He even put his hand up my skirt. Just then, Ethan Shen appeared. He casually said one sentence and saved me from the predicament. He was the powerful tycoon of the Hong Kong entertainment industry, while I was just an unknown 18th-tier actress. Ethan Shen didn't pursue me extravagantly. There were no grand romantic gestures. But he took care of me in every little detail. Plus, with a face even more striking than any male celebrity in the industry. It would be a lie to say my heart wasn't moved. However, I was always keenly aware of my position. A canary will always be a canary, never on the same level as an official girlfriend. I understood clearly that there would be no future between us. One day, I would definitely have to leave, still distracted at a time like this. Perhaps as punishment for my wandering thoughts, Ethan Shen deliberately became rougher. His voice was low, carrying a dangerous hint of amusement. "What are you thinking about?" "Thinking about that young brother of mine." I was tormented to the point of letting out a small cry, my hands gripping his arm tightly. I bit my lip and shook my head. But my reaction clearly didn't satisfy him. He immediately changed positions, his voice domineering. "Even if you weren't, you have to bear it now." I don't know how much time passed. When the intense storm finally subsided, Ethan Shen carried me into the bathtub, holding me in his arms. While lost in the afterglow, I suddenly spoke up. "I heard your older sister, Diana, has returned." Ethan Shen had been very close with Diana Shen since childhood. She made the decisions on all major and minor matters in the family. Most importantly, this time Diana returned, she brought a woman back with her. A woman who was supposed to marry into the Shen family through an arranged marriage. Thinking of this, I probed, "Can I meet her?" Ethan Shen's half-closed eyes suddenly snapped open. He observed me coldly, but in the end just said flatly, "It's not necessary." As expected, a canary has no right to meet the owner's family. I tried to hide the disappointment in my heart, smiling gently at him. "All right." That night, Nora said she would call me. But I never heard from her. It wasn't until noon the next day that she sluggishly sent me a short text. "Don't worry, not back together." I thought that was the end of it. Until a month later, when both Nora and I missed our periods. We arranged to go for a check-up together. When we saw the words confirming pregnancy on the ultrasound reports, we both fell silent. Nora snatched the report from my hand, scolding me angrily. "Didn't we say you'd break up after securing resources? You didn't use protection again, did you?" "I did," I immediately retorted. But when I remembered the passion by the window that night, my voice trailed off. "But it might have broken." Nora rolled her eyes helplessly. I snatched her report back, raising my voice. "You're scolding me. What about you? You don't even have a boyfriend, so whose baby is this?" Nora blinked a few times, her gaze evasive, and stammered, "It's Julian's." Ooze. I thought I'd misheard, my face etched with disbelief. She took a deep breath and then roared in my ear, "My ex-boyfriend, Julian Xiao." My ears were ringing from her shout. I pouted and mumbled, "Julian Xiao is Julian Xiao. Why are you yelling so loud?" Nora had broken up with him, and Julian still had his unforgettable love, Sylvia Sue. And what about me? A canary living in the shadows. While Ethan Shen's arranged marriage partner had just returned. Thinking of this, we both sighed at the same time. It was obvious that those two men would never want to acknowledge these children. After a long silence, Nora grabbed my hand. She said hesitantly, "Or maybe we should keep the kids and ditch the fathers." I thought for a moment and then nodded. "All right, Ethan Shen hasn't treated me poorly these past few years. Plus, with the money I've earned from acting, it should be enough to buy a villa abroad. Raise a dog, a cat, one villa, 2 moms, 2 kids. Isn't this the dream retirement life my best friend and I always wanted?" We decided to act immediately. Although Julian Xiao was clinging to Nora. They had already broken up and weren't living together, so she could leave any time. I was the only one in a more complicated situation. I spent that time agonizing over how to end this relationship, but couldn't find the right opportunity. Until one night, Ethan Shen returned, completely drunk. The moment the door opened, the smile on my face froze. I saw him leaning heavily on a beautiful woman. I had seen her before in media photos taken when Diana Shen returned, Ethan Shen's fiancée Sarah Han. "You must be Ruby Shi, Ethan is drunk, Allah." She brought him back. She looked at me, her gaze gentle, her tone soft. It wasn't what I had imagined. Sarah Han seemed to know everything about Ethan and me. I forced a stiff smile, taking his weight and helping him onto the sofa. She didn't leave. Instead, she looked around the apartment and asked with a smile, "Could I trouble you for a glass of water?" I walked to the kitchen counter, my face expressionless. From behind me, I heard her unhurried voice. "I heard that while I was abroad, you took great care of Ethan." "Thank you, I've seen your films. It's really not easy for a woman with no backing to make it in the entertainment industry. Both Diana and I admire you. She even said she wanted to meet you at the upcoming family banquet. Has Ethan told you yet?" My hand froze in mid-air. I turned to look at Sarah Han, and she looked back at me calmly. There was no mockery in her eyes, nor any trace of showing off her family background. There was only the confident aura of a woman who truly was The mistress of the Shen family. It was an aura that I could never possess, no matter how long I stayed by Ethan Shen's side. In that instant, the heavy stone that had been weighing on my heart finally fell. I knew it was time for me to leave. That night, I waited until Ethan Shen was sound asleep before packing my things. Perhaps because I had long been mentally prepared to leave. I didn't keep many belongings here. I left behind all the expensive gifts he had given me, taking only a red string bracelet. It was a peace charm we had gotten from Wutai Mountain. One for each of us. It was meant to wish us smooth sailing. I had wondered how to say goodbye without losing my dignity, but perhaps nothing needed to be said at all. On the silver, gray silk sheets, his face was just as handsome as the first time I met him. Ethan Shen always thought he was the one who pursued me, but he never knew that I had also fallen in love at first sight. Bitterness and regret welled up in my heart. I sent a final text message to his phone. I'm gone. May our paths never cross again in this lifetime. Before leaving, I blocked his number. Ethan Shen, I wish us both peace and smooth sailing from now on. This was our third year living in Australia. Both Nora and I had given birth to healthy babies. Nora had a boy named Bo, and my daughter was named Poppy. When Bo and Poppy turned 3, Nora started working as a parenting blogger, though she never showed her own face. As for me, I opened a bar in Australia. Life was leisurely, we had both money and time. My bar even came with a steady supply of handsome young men. Until one day, a comment unexpectedly appeared under Nora's video account. Is it just me? Or does this kid Bo look exactly like the A-list actor Julian Xiao? Because Julian Xiao had posted his own childhood photos online before, as soon as this was said, people immediately dug up the old photos to compare. The comparison was startling. It wasn't just similar, it was identical. Just like that, Bo became famous overnight. Many people tagged Julian Xiao on Weibo, teasing him. Some netizens also curiously asked Nora, who is the baby's father? Nora, with her sharp tongue, replied, no father. Asexual reproduction. Seeing netizens start to suspect she was a third party and that her child was illegitimate, she retorted sarcastically. If you all knew who his father was, you'd probably think I was the unlucky one. But just as that comment was posted, an account named Julian Xiao commented below it. Are you sure, Nora? The username was Julian Xiao. The profile picture was Julian Xiao, and most importantly, this person called Nora by her name. It was hard to believe this was just a fan. Nora freaked out, immediately deleted all the comments, and set her account to friends only. That night, she ran to my bar to complain, worried that Julian Xiao would find her and fight her for custody of Bo. I calmed her down, telling her to relax. I said that based on just a few online videos, even if it really was Julian Xiao, Australia was a huge place. It would be difficult to find her specific address. Seeing her still looking worried, I suggested taking her out the next day to relax. The following day, we took the two kids to a tourist area and were suddenly stopped by a street interview channel. Because Bo had become very popular online recently, we immediately refused the interview and pulled the kids away. But we couldn't stop someone from filming us and posting it online. In the video, Bo's face was clearly captured up close, and Poppy and I were also accidentally caught in the frame. The internet immediately exploded. Oh my god. This kid looks even more like Julian Xiao in real life. Could he be Julian Xiao's secret child? It's not rare for male stars to have hidden kids these days. And that little girl. She's so beautiful. Is her mom an actress? Why does she look so familiar? Seeing the public opinion growing more intense, I discussed it with Nora. How about we move somewhere else? Anyway, this bar isn't doing well, and I've been wanting to close it for a while. Nora nodded. Okay, wherever you go, I'll go. She immediately deleted the account where she posted pictures of her son, and I posted a notice that my bar was for sale. That very day, someone contacted me saying they wanted to buy it, arranging to meet me in the evening. But I waited until the bar was closing, and the person still hadn't shown up. A sense of unease crept into my heart. Suddenly, there was a strange noise outside the door. The next second, the wooden door of the bar was kicked open. Dozens of bodyguards in black suits rushed in, immediately surrounding the entire bar. A chill shot up from my feet, making it almost impossible to move. My voice was sharp. Who are you looking for? No one answered. My nerves were stretched taut. I immediately turned and ran towards the back door. But as soon as I ran out and turned right, I slammed into a solid chest. A familiar scent of cedarwood filled my nose. I stumbled back a few steps and pulled out my phone to call the police. Just as I dialed the number, a sharp pain shot through my wrist. My phone fell to the ground, the screen still glowing. Both my hands were bound behind my back with a leather belt. An arm snaked around my waist, pulling me into an embrace. A low voice resonated by my ear, a voice that was years apart yet terrifyingly familiar. Ruby. Have you been living well all these years? It was a simple greeting, but I could hear the abyss, deep coldness in his tone. My back went cold. I closed my eyes, trying to calm down. Ethan Shen, we already broke up. This is Australia, don't do anything reckless. Broke up. A cold laugh sounded from behind me. Did I agree to it? Besides, so what if I do something reckless? Even after all these years apart, I knew Ethan Shen's methods very well. I squeezed my eyes shut, struggling. I've already called the police. Just then, the phone on the ground was picked up. The voice of the police dispatcher came from the speaker. Ethan Shen picked up the phone, held it close to my ear, and chuckled softly. Be good, tell them the address. Let's guess, before the police arrive. How many times can I play with you? I was tied up by Ethan Shen and forced onto his private jet, taken back to the country. He even took Poppy with us. In the spacious apartment at Victoria Harbour, Ethan Shen sat opposite Poppy. The two of them, big and small, stared at each other. Poppy pointed at his nose and asked me seriously, Mummy, who is this ugly uncle? I was speechless. Ethan Shen, from out of nowhere, pulled out a mirror and held it in front of her. Am I ugly? Look again and see who you look like. Poppy and Bo looked exactly like their biological fathers. The little girl looked in the mirror, then glanced at Ethan Shen's face, and finally turned her head away in frustration. Mommy, your taste in men is terrible. After saying that, she jumped off the chair and ran into the room prepared for her. Ethan Shen sneered, standing up to follow her. I quickly blocked his path. What do you think you're doing to Poppy? She's just a child. I watched him warily. I wasn't sure about his current marital status, and I certainly didn't know what he wanted with my daughter. Seeing how tense I was, he pushed my hand away and laughed self-deprecatingly. What else can I do? Put my daughter to sleep, of course. That night, I don't know what Ethan Shen did. The next morning, Poppy walked out of her room with a completely changed attitude. Old uncle, remember to take me to see Princess Elsa this weekend. Ethan Shen pinched her cheek, promising gently. Okay, whatever you say. He looked up, his gaze meeting mine. The atmosphere suddenly became awkward. I asked the helper to take Poppy to breakfast, then turned back to face Ethan Shen. I will not give up custody of Poppy. Ethan Shen was calm, I know. I paused, then continued, you can lock me up temporarily, but you can't lock me up for a lifetime. I'm not the same person I was back then. As soon as I get the chance, I will run again. He was silent for a moment, then stepped aside to let me pass. No need to run. You can go wherever you want. If you don't like it here, I can arrange another place for you. Just don't go too far. After all, Poppy already knows I'm her father. I think even as her mother, you don't have the right to stop her from seeing her biological father. I was stunned. What did he mean? Ethan Shen wasn't planning on locking me up. I looked at him suspiciously, feeling that something wasn't right. But I couldn't deny that he was right. I had no right to forbid Poppy from seeing her father. But not forbidding it didn't mean I would stay here forever. That day, I took Poppy and left Ethan Shen's house. He wanted to arrange a new place for us, but I refused. After finding a new place and getting settled, I called Nora, but the call wouldn't connect. Ethan Shen had previously assured me that he didn't take Nora. In the following days, I still couldn't get in touch with her. The anxiety in my heart grew stronger. Meanwhile, Ethan Shen stuck to me like glue, showing up at my door every morning and night, always using the same excuse. I'm here to see Poppy. Until one day, I really couldn't take it anymore. I pulled him aside. Ethan Shen, what exactly do you want? You must have married Sarah Han by now, right? It was my fault for hiding Poppy's birth from you back then. But I never thought about making you take responsibility, and I don't need you to. You have your own family and your own life. Can you please stop appearing in front of me? After I finished, Ethan Shen frowned, his eyes full of confusion. Who told you I got married? And what does this have to do with Sarah Han? I didn't know how to explain this tangled mess of relationships. But perhaps no amount of explanation mattered at this point. Even if it was a misunderstanding, 3 years had passed. Those misunderstandings had taken root like ancient trees, carving a deep rift in my heart that could never be healed. I shook my head and turned to close the door, but Ethan Shen stopped me. For the first time since we reunited, I saw his gaze become so sharp it felt like it could bore a hole through my heart. He said in a low, slow voice, Ruby you must explain this clearly to me. The fragmented memories of the past, retold through painful words, gradually became clear. I told Ethan Shen about the scene on the day I left. After listening, his expression darkened immediately. A long time later, he spoke in a heavy voice. I was very drunk that night, but I remember clearly, I got into Diana's car. As for why Sarah Han ended up taking me home, I can probably guess the reason. But now is not the time to tell you. I had heard too many of these riddles. Back then, as a canary trapped in a cage, I tried to maintain a safe distance. If Ethan Shen didn't want to talk, I didn't ask. But now, hearing these vague words from him again years later, I couldn't help but laugh. Ethan Shen, you don't actually need to tell me. After all, besides being Poppy's biological father, there's no other relationship between us. With that, I stood up and asked him to leave. He stood outside the door knocking for a while, saying something, but I didn't bother to listen. Finally, I put on my headphones and turned up the music. Not long after moving into the new place, I received a call from Nora. The caller ID showed it was a domestic number. Her voice sounded a little guilty. "Ruby, can you join a reality show about parenting with me? After Ethan Shen took you away, I wanted to find you right away, but Julian Xiao stopped me. He confiscated my phone these past few days and wants to fight me for custody." Of course, I didn't agree. But he said as long as I join a family reality show with him, he won't fight me for custody. I didn't know what Julian Xiao was planning, but my sister was in trouble. And I had to help her even if it meant selling everything I owned. Besides, I had already contacted my old manager, who also wanted to find a small show to help me ease back into the entertainment industry. Now that such a reality show had fallen into my lap, I'd be a fool not to take it. After asking for Poppy's opinion, I decided to take her on the family-themed reality show. My manager also helped me announce my comeback on Weibo. However, on the day of filming, I was completely stunned. I had always thought this was a show just for mothers and children. But when I arrived on set, I discovered it was a reality show for a 3-person family. And what shocked me even more was that Ethan Shen was also there. As soon as Poppy saw him, she rushed over. "Old man, don't be scared. Today, I'll protect you." Ethan Shen raised an eyebrow meaningfully, rubbing Poppy's head. "Okay, I'll be counting on you today." Because Julian Xiao already had a high level of fame and had even posted a teaser on Weibo about bringing his son on a show, this previously unknown program suddenly attracted countless viewers. The keyword A-list actor Julian Xiao brings secret son on reality show quickly climbed the hot search. Oh my god, so Bo really is A-list actor Julian Xiao's biological son. Maybe Julian Xiao is taking this chance to announce his marriage. Wake up, people. Who knows what tricks she used to have his kid. Julian only said he was bringing his biological son on the show, he never admitted she's his wife. I have to say, the production team was great at creating drama. Seeing the explosive comments on the screen, the organizers, who had originally planned a game to test the chemistry between parents and children, immediately changed it to a random Q&A session. A question appeared on the big screen. Are the parents in a legal marital relationship? If it were a normal couple, this question would be completely redundant. But in the current situation, it was a bombshell. Julian Xiao's face stiffened, he let out a sigh. No. One stone thrown into the water stirred up 1,000 waves. The comments frantically scrolled by. See, she's definitely trying to use her child to climb the social ladder. I remember Julian Xiao used to be rumored with the singer Sylvia Su. They were childhood sweethearts. I wonder why they didn't end up together. Turns out, a third party got involved. Homewreckers are the worst. Go to hell. The MC hurriedly tried to save the atmosphere by continuing with the questions. So, do you have no intention of getting married, or are you divorced? Julian Xiao looked at Nora. He smiled bitterly. You could say I was abandoned. As soon as he said that, the comment section exploded again. Seeing the situation getting out of control, the MC immediately turned the question to us. I calmly took the microphone, facing the camera with a blank expression. Not a marital relationship, he wanted to sponsor me, but I refused. The MC, who was drinking water backstage, nearly spat it out upon hearing this. And then the comments erupted. As this content I can watch for free. Wait, this show is this high stakes. I thought Julian Xiao was shocking enough, but this lady is even more explosive. Ooh, is that man? Is he married? The MC was also stunned, only reacting after a long moment, hurriedly passing the microphone to Ethan Shen. Mr. Shen, what is your opinion? It seemed the organizers had been given a heads up, they didn't use his full name. Plus, he was always very low-key with the media, so no one connected him with the Shen family from Hong Kong. Ethan Shen calmly took the microphone, his expression still nonchalant. It's about the same. She'd rather sponsor a little fresh meat than sponsor me. The set fell into dead silence. I narrowed my eyes slightly at Ethan Shen, my gaze turning strange. Did he even know what he was saying? After that question, the Q&A session nearly descended into chaos. One audience member asked, "What is the most unacceptable thing about the other person?" Nora accused Julian Xiao of having a white moonlight. An unforgettable first love while still being entangled with her. Julian countered that the white moonlight was just something the elders in his family had imagined, not the truth. I accused Ethan Shen of using our daughter to cling to me. Ethan Shen, in turn, accused me of abandoning him for 3 years, leaving him to search for me in vain. Human emotions are easily stirred. After a series of mutual accusations, the set looked more like a public tribunal. The MC had probably never hosted a show like this, managing only to laugh awkwardly and occasionally utter, "haha," to ease the tension. But the audience loved it. My God, what is this show? This is the biggest gossip hit of my life. I propose that all future entertainment industry interviews follow this format. Are these two couples planning to share their bitter tea live on air? They're really not treating us as outsiders. Huh. Finally, the show reached its closing question. The MC let out a sigh of relief and announced the final question. What are your current feelings for each other? Nora remained silent. Julian Xiao didn't hesitate. I want her to give me another chance. I will love her and our child. When it was my turn, I took the microphone and just smiled faintly at the camera. The mountains are high and the rivers are long. We each go our own way. In that instant, a flicker of pain crossed Ethan Shen's face, but he quickly took the microphone, stared at me intently, and said only 2 words. Want marriage. In the following days, clips from the show spread all over social media. Because Julian Xiao had clearly stated that Sylvia Su was an arrangement by his family, Sylvia's previous action of showing off the Xiao family heirloom on Weibo suddenly looked ridiculous. Some people even found the blurry, ambiguous photos that had circulated between them and had tech experts confirm they had been edited. Some netizens also started to re-examine the moment. Julian Xiao looked at Sylvia Su with eyes full of love, at an awards ceremony years ago. But this time they realized his gaze was actually directed at the teleprompter. It was just that Julian's eyes were naturally bright and perfect for the big screen, leading people to misunderstand he was looking at someone he loved with adoration. And so, the same people who were cursing Nora as a shameless homewrecker yesterday flocked to Sylvia Su's Weibo today to leave comments. Hilarious. What era is this that she still believes in parents decide who you marry? Maybe she wants to marry Julian's grandmother. I remember Julian's grandmother has a heart condition. If the Xiao family elders really wanted Sylvia as their granddaughter-in-law, he probably didn't deny the rumors before because he didn't want to upset his grandmother. However, while the Julian Xiao's on-air confession hashtag was booming, another topic unexpectedly shot to the top of the search rankings. The Shen and Han families of Hong Kong announce engagement. There weren't many photos from the scene, but one of them captured the face of the future bride, Sarah Han. Even though reason had repeatedly told me to stay away from him, at that moment, a dull ache still flared in my chest. No wonder Ethan Shen, who used to visit Poppy every morning and night, had suddenly disappeared after the show ended. An engagement party must require a lot of preparation. Of course, he wouldn't have time to care about someone as insignificant as me. I pulled my gaze away from the phone screen, suddenly feeling ridiculous. Thinking about Ethan Shen's gaze. In that final moment on the show, I had, for a fleeting second, believed his want marriage. I clearly tried to hold it in, but tears still rolled down my face unconsciously. Poppy had come to my side at some point. The little girl looked up with her big, round eyes and asked, "Mommy, why are you crying?" I forced a smile and shook my head. "It's nothing. Mommy just wants to go back to Australia, but if we do, you won't be able to see your daddy anymore." Poppy's eyes widened, staring at me blankly. A long moment later, she suddenly lunged forward and kissed me on the cheek. "Mommy, let's go back." When Ethan Shen received the call from Ruby Shi, the meeting about the share transfer plan had just concluded. Everyone had always thought the Shen siblings loved each other deeply, but only he knew who was really behind the kidnapping attempt that almost killed him when he was 10. Diana Shen had played the role of a gentle older sister since childhood, but in reality, she had made countless dark moves against him, even intentionally creating accidents aimed at him. She used their grandfather's favor to build her own power base on the board of directors. It made his path to taking over the Shen group fraught with difficulties. He was forced to temporarily bow his head in exchange for the greatest support within the company, while secretly cultivating his own forces. Step by step, he overthrew the shareholders loyal to Diana, reclaiming control of the board. He had always been someone who would stop at nothing to achieve his goals, with one single exception. Ruby Shi. The first time he met her, he was drawn to her appearance, but he grew to love her principles and her ambition even more. In the entertainment industry, an actress with no background was like prey surrounded by wolves, liable to be swallowed whole at any moment. The fourth time he helped her out of a difficult situation, a man who usually cared nothing for women, unconsciously asked, "Do you want to follow me?" That day, Ruby Shi's stubborn and cold expression faltered. She bit her lip as if hesitating. But in the end, she nodded gently. Later, in his heart, they were always a couple. Until Diana Shen returned to the country and Ruby asked if he could take her to meet Diana. He refused. He and Diana would tear off their masks sooner or later. Instead of letting her know his weakness to be exploited later, it was better to keep them from having any contact from the beginning. He just never expected her to leave so suddenly. A breakup without warning, without a single sign. For the 3 years she was gone, he never stopped searching for her, but the results were always hopeless. Until he accidentally saw her in a street interview. Beside her was a little girl with a face that looked just like his. In that moment, he seemed to understand why she had left. He searched for her while accelerating his efforts to dismantle Diana's power. Finally, after today, Diana Shen would never again be a threat to him. Thinking of this, he didn't hesitate to answer the call. But the voice on the other end was not the one he longed for. Instead, it was Poppy's young, but angry, voice. "Old uncle. If you don't come back right now, mommy is going to run away again. You can't even coax mommy right, do you need me to teach you? Are you even good for anything?" The call ended. That night, in the parking garage of the Shen Group Tower, a limited edition Maybach roared like a shooting star, speeding straight toward the airport. "The flight doesn't take off for another hour. Before this I told Nora I was going back to Australia." She immediately yelled, "Great. Great. I'll go with you." But before she could finish, Julian Xiao's low, gloomy voice came through the phone. "Where do you think you're going?" "Myth." The wet, ambiguous sounds that followed made me laugh. I hung up immediately. Then I texted Nora, "Cherish what you have. I'm not taking you with me this time." Nora wasn't like me. During my time back in the country, I had seen with my own eyes that Julian still had feelings for her. And she for him. But that also meant that in a foreign land, it would just be me and Poppy. I don't know what got into her, but all evening, she kept complaining of a stomachache, constantly asking to go to the bathroom. I bought stomach medicine for her at the airport but she stubbornly refused to take it. It was almost time to board and I was losing my patience. I grabbed her hand. "What's wrong with you? If you don't take it now, you'll have to take it on the plane." Poppy looked so anxious she was about to cry. "Mommy, can we just wait a little longer?" The airport speakers started announcing that my flight was boarding. I was anxious and raised my voice. "Wait for what? What is there to wait for?" Just as I finished speaking, a familiar deep, hoarse voice sounded behind me. "Waiting for me? Ruby Shi, you said you wouldn't run away again, and now you're planning to leave me behind." My feet felt like they were set in concrete, unable to move. I turned to scold Poppy, but she just looked at me with innocent eyes. It made sense. She didn't want to be separated from her father. What was wrong with that? I was the one who was wrong. I turned around, and my eyes met Ethan Shen's haggard face and bloodshot eyes. I felt ashamed. "Congratulations on your marriage. I'm sorry I didn't expect Poppy would be so unwilling to leave you. In that case, she can stay with you for a while and then come back to Australia." Suppressing the pain in my heart, I pushed Poppy towards him. "I'll go alone this time." I turned, trying to swallow my tears but my wrist was seized by Ethan Shen. A strong pull spun me around and I fell into his arms. His deep, hoarse voice vibrated from above my head. "I am not engaged to Sarah Han, the one getting engaged is my cousin. But what Sarah Han told you was true. She really does like me." Before I could even speak, Ethan Shen seemed to guess my thoughts. He continued to explain, "Don't mind me being manipulative, but I was the one who arranged that marriage. My sister, Diana, always wanted to use Sarah Han to tie me down. Sarah Han was also desperate to marry into the Shen family. So, I used a little trick to marry her off to my degenerate, playboy cousin. Ruby, I was never a good person. Sarah Han might have had a different fate, but who told her to break your heart?" Outside the airport lounge, my flight had already departed. That day, I was held back by Ethan Shen. I couldn't describe the feeling in my heart, only that there was still a thorn lodged deep in my chest, not yet removed. Not long after Sarah Han got engaged to Ethan Shen's cousin, the man was caught entering and leaving hotels with various young models. Their former glamour was now just a public joke. I still didn't live with Ethan Shen. I also wasn't used to the life of the entertainment industry, always traveling for work or filming. So, I decided to open a bar in Hong Kong. Every day, Ethan Shen would clock in like it was his job. He'd come to my bar, order one drink, and sit there until closing time, then drive me home. One time, Nora came to the bar to find me, dragging Julian Xiao along. I poured Nora a martini. As for Julian, he could have whatever. Nora saw my current situation and was a little worried. Ruby, you're not living with Ethan Shen, but you're not dating anyone else either. What are you thinking? I raised an eyebrow. Nothing. This is just how it is. People don't necessarily have to get married. Besides, I already have Poppy. Julian Xiao, overestimating his tolerance, ordered a strong drink and lamented. I never thought CEO Shen had it worse than me. The years you were abroad I saw him many times. He was always holding a braided string. When he was drunk, he'd call out your name. What's the use of being so devoted? In the end, he's still tossed aside like a dog. Just as he finished speaking, the bell on the bar door rang. The dog, who showed up every night, had arrived. But today it seemed Ethan Shen had already been drinking elsewhere. His face was flushed. I went over and poured him a glass of water. Annoyed. If you're really drunk, then don't come here. Call a driver to take you home. Ethan Shen looked stunned for a moment, then asked blankly, home where? Home. He let out a bitter laugh and pointed at his own nose. I have a home. My wife doesn't want me anymore. I was speechless. I pushed the glass of water toward him, angrily saying, then go wherever you want to go. Nora and Julian finished their drinks and left. It was almost closing time. I looked at Ethan Shen, who was slumped over the bar, seemingly asleep. Thinking that if he caught a cold, he would definitely find a way to make me feel sorry for him, I grabbed a coat and draped it over him. Under the coat, his breathing was steady. I couldn't help but reach out and gently touch his face. Ethan Shen seemed to stir, lifting his head, his eyes bleary as he looked at me. What's wrong? The night was as quiet as a stalking beast. I was just about to say something when suddenly crash. The large glass window next to us suddenly spiderwebbed with a long crack. An iron bar swung down again, widening the crack. The next second, the sound of shattering glass pierced the air. Countless shards flew straight at me. On reflex, I squeezed my eyes shut, only feeling a tall figure lunge forward and hug me tightly. Then there was a heavy thud, as if the iron bar had struck someone's flesh. Hot blood splattered onto my face. My ears felt like they were stuffed with cotton. I couldn't hear anything. In front of me, Ethan Shen smiled. A stream of red blood flowed from his forehead, like a broken dam, in an instant, dyeing his entire face red. I trembled and screamed, Ethan Shen. The attackers seemed to have achieved their goal and quickly got into a car and left. As the car sped away, I saw Diana Shen in the back seat, smiling at me with a demonic grin. Doctor, I'm begging you, please save him. I'm begging you. In the hospital, the sound of machines, urgent footsteps, and sobbing mingled together. I touched the blood on my own face, my emotions pushed to the breaking point, and I completely collapsed. I slid down the wall outside the operating room, trembling. Nora hugged me tightly. It's okay. Ethan Shen hasn't married you yet, he won't let anything happen to him. Julian Xiao, who had just finished a call, hurried back. Luckily, the bar's surveillance cameras weren't destroyed, and they captured everything in front of the window. Don't worry. Diana Shen won't get away with it this time. I nodded through my tears, but I couldn't register anything he was saying. I don't know how much time passed, but the light on the operating room finally went out. I rushed forward immediately. When the doctor gave a slight nod, my suspended heart finally began to settle. Ethan Shen was moved to a VP room. The bar had to be repaired after the evidence was collected, so I could only stay by his side every day. Although his injury was on the back of his head, he acted as if he were paralyzed. He couldn't move his shoulders, and he couldn't lift his hands. Wifey, I want some water. I expressionlessly held the cup for him. Wifey, I want a piece of fruit. I gritted my teeth and skewered a piece of fruit to feed him. Wifey, I've had enough. What do you want now? Ethan Shen blinked at me pitifully, then slowly said, I want a kiss. This time, I really couldn't hold it in. I ground my teeth. Why don't you just say, you want to grope while you're at it? Ethan Shen's eyes immediately lit up. Can I? In your dreams. My phone rang. I took the opportunity to stand up and answer it. The news on the other end was that Diana Shen had been arrested. It turned out that when Ethan Shen was investigating her illegal business activities, he accidentally discovered she was also involved in hiring someone for a murder over a land dispute. Diana, in a desperate last stand, had hired people to attack Ethan Shen. I hung up, returned to the room, and told Ethan Shen everything. He wasn't surprised at all. It's not the first time she's tried to kill me. I was stunned, so shocked I couldn't speak. I didn't want you to have contact with her before, and I didn't want you to be on the Shen family's radar because Diana is, fundamentally, a lunatic. Ethan Shen lowered his head, his voice somewhat subdued. But I'm sorry, I didn't give you enough sense of security. For the years you were abroad, I failed you and I failed Poppy. Ruby, I think I love you, even more deeply than I ever imagined. My heart felt as if someone had touched its softest spot. The thorn that had been lodged in my heart for so long seemed, in this moment, to have been completely removed. I couldn't help but burst into tears. Ethan Shen reached out and pulled me into an embrace. Silly, we have plenty of time in the future. As long as you give me a chance. That day, the sunset outside the window was as red as blood. And from that moment on, my new story with Ethan Shen officially began. The most powerful lesson from this story is the critical importance of communication and trust. Many tragedies and separations stem from unexplained misunderstandings and buried secrets. Sometimes, love deserves a second chance, but that chance can only truly begin when both people are brave enough to face the truth and finally listen to one another.